see the shining sea throughout the solar system and extending to interstellar regions beyond. This is the Kevin Smith Show.
Comments and views expressed on The Kevin Smith Show are those of the people that make them and do not necessarily reflect the views of Kevin Smith, The Kevin Smith Show, or its affiliates or sponsors.
Hi folks, and welcome to the Kevin Smith Show, whoever you are and wherever you are all around this planet. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I'm here because you have a right to know and because you matter. And those over on the radio side, I apologize for that. You just heard the intro again. And that brings up something. Because you matter, I try to get everything right technologically as well as factually here on the show. And we have just been through some real storms technologically. We've been through some real storms meteorologically here too. But I don't think that's what's caused all of this. But I just want to thank everybody for being very patient as we've worked on the technological issues. The technological issues, I think, are worked out. And, last night on the video, the TV channel, for whatever reason, the computer just decided to reboot about 5 minutes into the show, the computer that handles our TV broadcast. And when it came back up, there was no camera. So and it's a mystery to me. It does that sometimes. I don't know why. But I'll tell you something. Somebody has suggested to me that it may be, in fact, just a hardware issue with the USB port. I use high-speed USB, the version 3 USBs, and for the cameras. And somebody suggested to me it really might just be that. So, don't know, but we'll look into it more this weekend. Right now, it's working. But again, because you matter, I really do try to get those things straightened out as quickly as I can. We're doing things here. I had somebody that wrote to me not too long ago and said, you just have so many technological things happening, that nobody else, none of the other shows have it. Well, I mentioned this before, that email that I got. But see, the deal is nobody else is doing what I'm doing. And we're making computers do some things with, we're making software on different computers communicate when they're not really designed to. Because what we need to do, the software doesn't exist for it. So we have to do things. I've written scripts and programs and stuff to make this stuff happen. And so sometimes the issue is in that. And so they're doing things that they're not really designed to do. That's how we bring to you what we bring to you. And it's because you matter. Tonight we're going to be talking about a weird thing that we have talked about before, but I think it really bears looking into again. It's been a while. I get a lot of email with people asking. We've had callers who have asked, do you have any updates on that? So I think it really bears looking into. Again, we're going to be talking about the Black Knight satellite. All right, we're going to step away for a break. We'll be back right after this.
All of the music used here at the Kevin Smith Show is from independent artists. Most of it from independent artists at musicalley.com. Go over to musicalley.com. Check out thousands of artists and thousands of great independent tunes. musicalley.com.
All right, welcome back to the Kevin Smith Show. As I said, tonight we're going to be talking about the subject of what has come to be known as the Black Knight satellite. And I am going to be showing some pictures of it. For those of you who are listening rather than watching the show, you can see one of the pictures over on my website, kevinsmithshow.com. Just scoot over there, scroll down till you see the picture about tonight's show, and that's one of them. That's one of the pictures. But we don't really know if that thing in that picture is the Black Knight satellite. So we're going to talk about the Black Knight satellite. It's a very mysterious thing, very, very, very mysterious. And it's not a recent discovery. It's been known for a long, long time. We're going to go over the history of the Black Knight satellite just a little bit as we know that history. Of course, we don't know it all. But to the extent that we can, we're going to inform ourselves here tonight about the Black Knight satellite. What is this thing? It's apparently it's something that's in orbit. It's a mysterious object that is in orbit around the Earth, and it was a big, big surprise to our military, and I suppose to all the militaries of major nations, you know, that are observing space from a long time back. It's a big mystery. And it's not a mystery that, so far as I know, has been solved. But it may have been. I mean, I think somebody knows and they're just not telling. I think that's the case. I think they know a great deal about this thing. And in fact, you know, there's more than one. There is the one they call the Black Knight, and it is in basically an equatorial type orbit. However, our satellites and our spaceships that we send up travel from west to east to take advantage of the Earth's rotation to help them stay in orbit. The Black Knight satellite travels from east to west. It travels in the other direction. There's another one that is in polar orbit, and the cover story for it was they finally said, oh, well, we finally figured it out. It's the remains of, I think it was Discoverer 5, launched from Vandenberg, and it's in a polar orbit. There's some problems with that. That was the cover story, but we'll get into all of that. The Black Knight satellite, as I say, is in this orbit around the Earth, but apparently it is not always there. So when we say satellite, we're not talking about an uncrewed robotic dumb machine that you just send up there and it just runs around the Earth. That's not what we're talking about. It comes and goes. And Gordon Cooper had some amazing things to say about it as well. And what prompted me to go ahead and re-examine the Black Knight material, I was getting emails about it. We've had some callers who have asked about it. But the thing the straw that broke the camel's back and said, okay, we got to take a look at this again, was when I ran across what Gordon Cooper, who of course was a famed and, as far as I am concerned, a very honorable astronaut of the United States of America. By the way, do you folks know, China has gotten into the space program and space exploration in a big, big way. They have the first module of their own space station up. They are doing manned flights into space. And do you know what they're called? They're not astronauts. In Russia, they're cosmonauts. Over here in the United States, we call them astronauts. You know what they call them in China? Taikonauts. Yeah. That's what they're called, taikonauts. Anyway, because of something Gordon Cooper said that I was not aware of, I ran across what he said and about this, and I think you will see and you will agree after I share that with you that it's time. It is time for us to begin looking at this and thinking about this. It's time. So what do we know about this Black Knight satellite? Well, first contact with this satellite first contact we know about, may actually have been in 1899. Really. Nikola Tesla developed a high voltage, very high voltage, radio transmitter, and he was out in Colorado Springs. And in the course of his work with that and his experiments with that, he announced that he was receiving intelligent communications from out there. What made him say that they were intelligent communications was not that they were intelligible, in other words, not that he understood them, but the patterns and order they would repeat. And so, there was organization to the signal. And so he said that he thought he was receiving extraterrestrial communications, and he thought that they were coming from Mars. Now, lots of people have latched onto that, and they talk about that a lot, but they don't talk about the fact that he later changed his mind and said he wasn't sure where they were coming from, but they were coming from somewhere else in space. But he did at first think they were coming from Mars, and maybe they were, because as advanced as his equipment was for the time, it was not as advanced as what we have now, where they can pretty much pinpoint where a signal's coming from. Marconi also intercepted strange, unknown artificial signals later, years after that. Then we jump up to 1927. And in 1927, many astronomers reported that they were getting mystery radio signals transmitted by a satellite, a mystery satellite that had been detected orbiting the Earth. In 1927, folks, nobody on this entire planet could put a satellite in space. Not the Russians, not us, not the Chinese, Japanese, the Indians, the Italians. There was no European Space Agency, but none of the European nations. Nobody on Earth in 1927 had the capability of launching anything into space. It was not until the 50s that somebody did, and it was the Russians. They were the first to launch something into and put it in orbit, Sputnik 1. And basically, Sputnik 1 was, basketball size satellite in orbit. And that was no big deal, but as it turns out, it was a bigger deal in many respects than a lot of people imagined. But in 1927, there was this unknown mystery satellite orbiting the Earth, and it was detected by astronomers, and many of them reported that they were getting mystery or mysterious radio signals from this satellite. Something orbiting Earth, sending out signals at a time when nobody on Earth had the capability of doing that. And that's one of the things that kind of gets lost in the shuffle here. Because as we have debunkers repeatedly telling us, well, you're just misidentifying stuff. You always think something's extraterrestrial, it's alien, and it's just misidentified. Actually, it's just terrestrial stuff that you've misidentified. Not in 1927. Not in 1927. because nobody, and I mean no freaking body, had the capability to launch and orbit a satellite. Not on this planet. So 1953, this object is sort of rediscovered. See, 1927, this mystery satellite is observed, it's detected by astronomers. Astronomers, some of them reporting strange radio signals, mysterious radio signals transmitted by that satellite. And then you don't hear anything much about this anymore until 1953. And the object was discovered by Dr. Lincoln La Paz of the University of New Mexico. And other scientists began seeing this object, I suppose with telescopes, and perhaps by that time they were seeing it with radar as well. And so the Department of Defense really got kind of tied up in knots over this. Now, you see, by this time the Cold War was beginning. We were in the opening stages of the Cold War. And when Sputnik was successfully launched and put into orbit, the United States Department of Defense got really uptight about it. Because all of a sudden, those nasty Russians, you see, had something that could fly right over the United States, and there was nothing that any of our military forces could do about that. And so, you know, that has all kinds of implications, you know, spying on the United States from space, although Sputnik couldn't do that. But the ability to put this in orbit and to fly it right over the USA, and to not have the USA be able to do anything about it, that really had our Department of Defense in knots. And so they started playing a real catch-up game. Before Sputnik, the United States space program was a lick and a promise and a toy in the backyard. But they got really serious about it at that point. And this thing was, this satellite, this Black Knight satellite, was sort of rediscovered by Dr. Lincoln La Paz right in those early 50s, 1953. And so the Department of Defense appointed a very famous astronomer, Clyde Tombaugh, to run a search for this object. Now, I don't have any details on that other than there was apparently that appointment. So 4 years go by, and in 1957, Dr. Luis Corrales of the Communications Ministry in Venezuela photographed it while taking pictures of Sputnik 2 as it passed over Caracas. The interesting thing about it is that two things happened here that were really interesting. First, the two Sputnik satellites were traveling from west to east. But this thing, whatever it was traveling from east to west in the opposite direction. So that was really interesting, curious. Until this very moment, when we put a satellite in space, when anybody, any space agency from the Earth, any corporation from the Earth puts a satellite in space, it travels from east to west. I'm sorry, from west to east, to take advantage of the Earth's rotation. But this thing was moving from east to west in the opposite direction. Now that's really interesting. Here's another interesting thing that happened. After a little bit, this thing began shadowing the Sputnik satellites. In other words, it changed its direction and went west to east and shadowed the Sputnik satellites. So remember, I said this, whatever this is, we're not talking about just like a dumb robotic out there. Now, look, we put satellites in space. They carry tremendous technology. It still takes humans on Earth to control them. And they don't change directions. They can change their altitude. They can move left or right to avoid collisions with things, but they don't stop and go the other direction. This satellite changed the direction of its orbit so that it could shadow the Sputniks, Sputnik 1 and 2. So now it's under, we can say that it is under some type of intelligent control. So I don't know if that means that it's occupied, it has a crew, or if it is being controlled remotely from some other place. Now we always assume that one of these satellites like this, or one of these craft, a UFO, is from way across the galaxy. Maybe not. Might be right next door. Might be from either a planet or one of the moons in this solar system. So either a planet in this solar system or a moon in this solar system right next door. And we've seen a lot of evidence, a lot of photographic evidence from planets and moons that seem to indicate some of them may be occupied. Now the reason that would be important is if they were remotely controlling it. We'll get more into that when we come back. We have to step away for a break, and when we return, more about the Black Knight. And welcome back to the Kevin Smith Show. Whoever you are, wherever you are, you're in the right spot. We're talking about the Black Knight mystery satellite tonight. So now, as we went away for break, I was talking about the fact that this thing caused a great deal of concern in 1960. So now we've come all the way from 1927 to 1960, but in 1960, another very mysterious satellite was discovered orbiting the Earth. And it was in a polar orbit instead of equatorial. And at that time, neither the Russians or the U.S. were capable of putting anything into a polar orbit. Just weren't capable of doing it at that time. Soviet satellites were inclined at a 65-degree angle off of the equator. And so it certainly was not one of them. They calculated the size of this thing in terms of its mass and determined it to be about 15 tons. And at that time, neither the Russians or us had any rocket that had a heavy enough lift to lift that into space. Whatever that was, it was way, way too heavy for any Earth terrestrial rockets to lift into space. And plus it was traveling twice as fast as any known satellite of that time. So astronomers saw it and studied it all across the country. Robert Johnson, the director of the Adler Planetarium, said the object doesn't even have the decency to maintain a regular schedule like any other heavenly or man-made object. We don't know when to watch for it. Some nights it appeared, some nights it didn't. And then it was photographed by the Grumman Aircraft Corporation. The military got so interested in this, and this is why I say somebody by now knows. They're just not talking. The military here in the U.S. got so caught up in this and were so drawn to it like a magnet. They put so much importance in this that they formed a special committee to gather information and to study this satellite, this mystery satellite. The findings were classified. They were secret. Never been made public. And then all of a sudden, time moves on, talk about it dies down, people forget about it. And that was it for a long time until there was and this is where it gets real curious here. A ham operator at some point after 1960 received or picked up a signal from that satellite. And it was later studied by a Scottish astronomer, Duncan Lunan, and he was able to decode the message. The decoded messages show a star map that's centered on Epsilon Boötis, as seen from Earth 13,000 years ago. Now this opens a door, folks, of possibility here that may be even way wilder than thinking that there are extraterrestrials. This satellite that's in polar orbit, it's not the Black Knight, but it's another mystery satellite in polar orbit, transmitting signals that show the star map for Epsilon Boötis. as viewed from Earth 13,000 years ago. Now, you know, I have said many, many times that I think the evidence is pretty clear that we have had on this planet very, very highly advanced, high-tech civilizations in the past that were wiped out by whatever means. They were wiped out. High-tech today, gone tomorrow. And there's evidence for that. Of course, it's in the forbidden zone where the great apes don't want us to ever venture and don't want us to look and don't want us to ask questions. They don't want us to talk about it. And you're ridiculous if you do. Don't you just have to get a chuckle out of the great apes sometimes? I mean, how stupid can they be to think we're not going to notice? Anyway, there is the possibility that the Black Knight satellite and this other one that's in polar orbit may be from one of those previous civilizations. It could be. Now, you know, I know what the debunkers say. The debunkers will say, well, you know, you just see extraterrestrials under every rock and Atlantis behind every bush. Well, it's not that way. But there were absolutely somebody with very high technology has been right here on this planet. We do have the actual physical evidence of that. And they were here way, way before our current historical era. And we have the evidence of that. Now, there's not much we can say about them. We don't know who they were. And we really don't know if they were terrestrial or extraterrestrial, but I think that they were terrestrial. Now, you may say, well, why do you think that? And the answer is because they wrote about extraterrestrials coming and passed that down in word of mouth, and it got into the Vedic literature. So I think they were terrestrial. Now, there is the possibility that they put a spacecraft in orbit that has been in orbit since then. It's possible. Now, there are people who are going to say, well, that wouldn't be possible because, you know, the orbit would decay. Well, it would, unless the machine was intelligent and had a fuel supply that was inexhaustible, or there were parts of that civilization that got onto that ship and have continued to live on that ship all down through time. Now again, I'm not saying that that's what the case is. I'm saying the door to that possibility is opened by the fact that a message from that satellite was decoded, and it was a picture of a star map. It was a star map centered on Epsilon Boötis as seen from Earth 13,000 years ago. And it would be, things would be in a different position now, you see. But 13,000 years ago, that's what Epsilon Boötis would look like. And so that fact opens that door of possibility. So you may actually have some Atlanteans on board that craft. Maybe not. It may be, you know, all robotic, but with extreme high artificial intelligence and an inexhaustible supply of energy. It's possible. All right, so this mystery object that, we don't know that's all we know about that one. I mean, that went really, really quiet when they classified, the military formed that committee to study it and gather information on it. They classified all the reports and everything, and all their information's classified. We don't know about it. So that's it. That's all we know. So we're going to go back to the Black Knight satellite. Now, the Black Knight satellite actually was first called that. We first came to know it by that name because of Clifford Stone. You know Sergeant Clifford Stone? And an interview that he did where he talked about this and called it the Black Knight satellite. So that's where we got the name. We have another name for it, by the way, though, and you're going to find that out in a moment. 1987. We've moved way forward now. 1987. And now NASA's in the shuttle era. We're sending up these marvelous shuttle spacecraft, and which, by the way, are almost identical to the Russian Buran, B-U-R-R-A-N, Buran spacecraft, shuttlecraft. Difference being the Buran did have engines that it could fire here in our atmosphere. It was powered flight in our atmosphere, where our shuttle was just a glider, a brick with wings on it as it fell from space. Anyway, we're into the shuttle era. We're sending up shuttles. And one of those shuttles was STS. Now, STS 88. Have you ever wondered what the STS stands for? It stands for Space Transport System. That's the official name of the shuttle. STS, Space Transport System. And so STS 88 sees a very strange object out of their window. And they pointed their cameras at it. And when they pointed their cameras at it, they shot a series of pictures. 5 or 6 of those pictures have gotten out, and there are probably many, many more. They may have shot video. We don't know. But if so, it didn't get out. They have shot some pictures of this thing in space. And we've got some real good shots of it as a result of STS 88. STS 88 was able to get it to get these pictures under various lighting conditions, and they were able to get these pictures with the craft in various different positions. So we have a pretty good idea of what it looks like. And we have a lot of, we owe STS 88 a lot of thanks for this. So we're seeing, those who are watching are seeing this craft in all these different positions and different lighting conditions. It's massive. I'll describe it for folks who are listening when we come back from this break.
what's up her sleeve just might be the death of me. I might be crazy, 'cause at best it's just a maybe. I'm gonna do it anyway. Yeah, I'm gonna do it anyway. You'd think by now I learned my lesson and I quit messing with it. Guess I just can't do nothing safe. Besides, it's hope that springs eternal. When boy meets girl, you know the whole world changes its shape. That's why I can't stop thinking about it. I'm in a daze and confused. I'm all freaked out about it. What's up her sleeve just might be the death of me. I might be crazy, 'cause at best it's just a maybe. I'm gonna do it anyway. Hey! I'm freaked out about it. Can't stop thinking about it. Might be crazy, 'cause at best it's just a maybe. I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna do it anyway. Just watch. You don't know why.
All right. Welcome back to our discussion of the Black Knight satellite, a mystery satellite that has been observed orbiting Earth since at least 1927 and maybe as far back as 1899 with Tesla. That may be where his mystery signals came from. So, we were talking about STS-88, and STS-88 shot some pictures of a very strange object. They didn't know what it was. This was in 1987, and they shot these pictures of this object, and these pictures got out. You know how they got out? NASA actually posted them on their website for a brief period of time. I don't think they're there now. They may be. But they actually posted them on their website. And people downloaded them. And you can still get the pictures. The ones that our TV audience have been seeing are from STS-88. Also, if you go to my website, kevinsmithshow.com, at the website, scroll down, and when you scroll down, you'll see a picture about tonight's show. That is one of the STS-88 photos. So these photos got out because NASA published them at one point. As I say, I don't think they're still there. They may be. But anyway, here's the importance of it. I'm going to describe this object. The object that we're talking about is big. It's really pretty big. I think bigger than the shuttle. Have you ever personally seen a shuttle? I have. It looks like a little tiny baby aircraft when they put it on top of a 747. You know, that's how they would transport it from, if it didn't land over in Florida, then, you know, they would transport it from wherever it landed back to its base on top of a 747. Well, I think this is much bigger than that. A lot bigger. I think it's bigger than a 747. but I can't really tell. It's just my impression that it is. So if we take a look at this thing from back to front, with the back, we'll say the back is on the right side and the front's over on the left, so it's moving from the right to the left here in our picture. You have kind of a Starship Enterprise double engine tube at the back. By double engine, I mean, you know, with the Starship Enterprise, you have that wing that comes out with an engine on it, and another one on the other side with an engine on it on either side of the Starship. Well, you kind of got that. Think of a fuselage of an airplane, although it doesn't look like an airplane at all. And as we get up to the nose, drop the nose down. Just bend the fuselage over and drop the nose down. Remember the Concorde, the supersonic transport? Remember it would have its nose drop down when it was landing? Remember that? So that's kind of what this looks like. Right up on top of it, there is what looks like a turret. Now, not like a gun turret, but I mean, there's just a circular area right up on top. I would assume that that's something to do with its energy supply. I don't know that. I'm just assuming that. I would assume the cockpit is forward of that. But we have very, very good pictures of it, really good pictures of it, from STS-88. This thing can change its configuration, though. It can change its shape. And we can see that by just going through the STS-88 pictures. Because here, in this picture, I don't know, imagine a witch on a broom. And that's what it looks like. I mean, it's got that general shape, that general configuration. For those who are watching, let me try to zoom in on that just a little bit. Give me a moment here as I work on that. And this is all the same object, but it changes its shape. It changes its configuration. Now, we have heard about, we've heard people talk about, alien spacecraft being biological as well as being a craft. It's also biological. Well, maybe this is. Maybe that's what we're looking at. Maybe that's how it's able to change its shape. But anyway, whatever, it does change its shape and configuration. Very, very sophisticated looking piece of machinery here. If it is biological, there are parts of it that definitely look metallic. That turret, for instance, that looks metallic. And the area under that turret and all around that turret looks metallic. The rest of it is black, flat black. All right, now after I did a show about the Black Knight satellite, I don't know when it was, a couple of years ago, I got an email from someone who was, not at all nasty about it, but they said, well, look, this is obviously just one of our, super secret craft that nobody's talking about, and it's obviously terrestrial. And I would have to say to that person and to all of you who are thinking that, it obviously is not. It is obviously not from Earth. Why do I say that? If this was one of our black budget programs, If this is a black budget, super secret spacecraft that we built, do you think NASA would have posted those pictures on the website? No, they would have never done that. They never would have done that. They are Department of Defense, folks. That's who they are. They are Department of Defense. They would never have posted those pictures on their website ever if that was our black project craft out there. So it is obviously not one of our black project super secret experimental craft. Absolutely cannot be. Well, that only leaves two options. One of those options is that what we're looking at may be a super secret project of the Russians. 1987. Could be. Nah. I don't think so, because we also know a great deal about, and I'm absolutely certain we have pictures of all of their super secret stuff, just like they have of ours. You know, the very first aerial photographs Americans ever saw of Area 51 was from a Russian satellite. Russians had all the pictures, and everybody in the world knew about it, and in America they were still saying, what Area 51? We never heard of that. We ain't got no Area 51. Never heard of it. It's not on the map. We don't have it. And then the Russians released some satellite photographs of Area 51. So they have pictures of our stuff. We have pictures of their stuff. And neither one of us, neither nation, releases those pictures, because in doing so, they say, it will give away some of their techniques for gathering intelligence. It would compromise security if they did that. They just keep it all classified. Other option? It ain't from here. We're going to take a break. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Kevin Smith Show, and for those of you joining us just now in this second hour, welcome aboard. I'm glad you are here, and you have my sincere sympathy for whatever it is that kept you away from that first hour. We're talking about the Black Knight satellite, and you have absolutely missed universes of information, but we're glad you're here now. All right. I was talking about these photographs taken by the STS-88. Now, it's important for me at this point, it's important for you, for me to drive home a clarification here. We do not know that these photographs are photographs of the Black Knight satellite. We do know the Black Knight satellite exists. We do not know that this is it. The Black Knight satellite exists, plus there is another mysterious satellite in polar orbit. Black Knight is in equatorial orbit, and but it's moving from east to west instead of west to east. And west to east is the way all Earth satellites, all terrestrial satellites that get launched from here, every one of them is west to east. Oh, except we do have some in polar orbit now, a couple of them in polar orbit, but the Black Knight satellite moves from east to west, which is mysterious all on its own. It can change directions, as it did when it decided to shadow the Sputnik satellites, and for a while shadowed them, moving with them from west to east. But we do not know that this craft, and it is a craft, it's definitely a craft. We do not know this craft, photographed by STS-88, is the Black Knight. We just don't know that. I think there's a pretty good chance, but we don't know. It could be yet a third mystery satellite that has been discovered, or it could be the Black Knight. We just don't know that. But it is absolutely obvious to me that that is not terrestrial. And it's obvious to me that it's not terrestrial because, number one, if it were our black budget super secret program, then NASA, who they are part of the Department of Defense, would never have published these pictures on their site. If it were Russian, these would be classified because we never ever allow the Russians to see what kind of details we've got. We don't allow any nation to see what kind of details we've got in our storehouse of information about them. They don't let us see either what they've got about us. That's the way espionage works. That's the way intelligence works. That's the way it is. So it's obvious to me that is not from Earth. So where is it from? See, if it's not from Earth, then it's extraterrestrial, with one exception. Remember that the Black Knight, if that's it, and we don't know that it is, but if that's the Black Knight satellite, a message was picked up from the Black Knight satellite by a ham operator. It was decoded by an astronomer, and what it was a star map. And it was a star map centered on Epsilon Boötis, as seen from Earth 13,000 years ago. And I said that opens up the possibility that the Black Knight satellite may be an Earth satellite, a terrestrial satellite, launched by a super high-tech civilization many, many, many thousands of years ago, a civilization that has been destroyed, obliterated, and we have no records of them. Seems fantastic, I know that, but if that seems fantastic to you, it's only because you're not familiar with the things we talk about here night after night, and you're not familiar with the hard evidence that someone with real high technology has been here way back beyond our historical era. Objects from those civilizations. Now, there again, we have to do a little thinking about it, because some people say, well, if it was high tech, that had to be extraterrestrial. No, it didn't either. It did not either have to be extraterrestrial to be high tech. Could have been. Look, this Earth is like 5 billion years old. 5 billion. Our historical era for civilization, at best, goes back 10,000 to 12,000 years. That is not even a gnat's rear in the face of 5 billion years. So yes, there very well could have been a civilization of our race, or something very, very much like us, that was really high tech, that had the ability to put something in space. We do know that very ancient people did know how to build airplanes. Oh, you don't know about that? See, you should have been watching the Kevin Smith Show, and then you'd know about that. Yes, they did. And models of those airplanes have been found in ancient tombs. They have been scaled up, little motor put on them, just to see if an exact copy of it scaled up would fly, and it flew. No problem. So yeah, they knew about how to fly, and maybe they knew about how to get into space, and it's possible, just possible, that the Black Knight satellite is a terrestrial satellite from back then. But it's either that or it's extraterrestrial. It's not anything any modern space agency or military built, I don't think, just based on the fact that NASA is Department of Defense, and they'd have never let these pictures out if that was our stuff, or if it was any other earthbound military stuff. They would have kept it classified, but they did publish these on their site. All right, I'm going to open up the telephones and invite you to join the conversation. Keep in mind that these pictures that I have been talking about, the picture that's on my website from STS-88, may or may not be the Black Knight satellite. I think there's a possibility that it is, but we don't know that. Caller, you're live on the Kevin Smith Show. Your first name and from where are you calling?
Kevin, this is Brent from Wyoming.
Hello, Brent.
I'm going to posit something for you.
Go ahead and posit, man.
The power source for this satellite could be the ambient energy from the planet.
Could be.
Therefore, if that was the case, it would have an inexhaustible supply of energy as long as the planet was in existence.
Well, in existence and its dynamics working.
Yeah.
You know, the reason a lot of people don't know this. The reason the Earth would be an inexhaustible supply of energy is because it's a battery.
Yeah.
The Earth is a battery. You have a positive and a negative, and inside you've got this dynamo generating electricity. It's a battery.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just wondering, is it possible if this thing is monitored? Let's say it was put up by the last major advanced civilization.
Okay.
To monitor our progress on multiple levels.
Yeah.
Culturally, technologically, and all that stuff.
Okay.
You know those little black monoliths like on Mercury and that potato-shaped moon around Mars?
Yeah.
Receiving stations. What do you think?
Well, possible. Receiving the reports back from this satellite.
Satellites.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's possible. Or they could be transmitting stations as well, controlling the satellite.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But they could not be very far away. I mean, they would have to be within our solar system, I would think, if they're remotely controlling this thing, because of the travel time of a radio signal.
Provided it's a radio signal we understand.
Well, it's transmitting signals that astronomers are picking up and ham operators are picking up, so I'd have to say yes, it is.
However, what if it's transmitting out at a different kind of signal?
Well, it might be.
Because
It could be throwing bananas at the Earth. I mean, it could be doing anything.
What I mean is, let's say it is an organic ship.
All right.
That is able to modify itself to do certain tasks.
Okay.
It has monitored Earth's technological development and understands that we are able to receive radio signals.
I got you. And so it transmits signals to us.
Understand.
Yeah. Well, that's possible. Yeah. And what you're saying is it would not necessarily be communicating in that same manner with its home base.
That's right.
Got you. Well, that's possible. Very possible. But like I say, we don't. As ridiculous as it sounds and is, it could be throwing bananas at us. We don't know what it's doing.
Digital bananas, yeah, why not?
We understand bananas, and I like them too, by the way.
Yeah, I do too, except they give me cramps sometimes.
Did you know that bananas are not a fruit?
No, I don't. What are they?
Nut.
They're a nut?
Yeah. It's a nut.
I guess you are what you eat.
A banana is a nut, and there are people everywhere who eat banana nut bread, and they think that's because it's got pecans in it. It's called nut. No, banana nut is
It's a nut.
It's a nut.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know what the thing is doing, but if it does decide to throw bananas, I hope it throws some my way.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be a good movie, wouldn't it? Sci-fi bananas from space.
Yeah.
All right, Brett, thanks for the call, man.
Yep, goodbye.
All right, bye. What about you? What do you think about this? I don't think any of you think it's throwing bananas at us. But, I mean, you get my point. We don't know what the thing is doing. I bet the military knows what Black Knight is up to. I mean, they open that committee to study it, to analyze all their information, gather all the information, analyze it, make reports. I bet they know or have a real good idea about the Black Knight satellite. But they ain't talking. We are, though, at 623-444-5889. Caller, you're live on the Kevin Smith Show. Your first name and from where are you calling?
Mark.
Hi, Mark. Mark, where are you calling from?
The desert.
Okay, the desert. Which desert?
Well, I don't actually tell you right now.
Well, Mark, no. You're going to have to give me a location. You don't have to give me your street address. Where are you from?
I can't tell you right now.
All right. Thanks for the call, man. 623-444-5889. 623-444-5889. And we'd love to hear from you. If you are in the USA or if you're in Canada, you can give us a call at that number. If you're not in the USA and you're not in Canada, you can give us a call at that number. Or you can send us a flash message. And I invite you to send us a flash message if you're outside of the USA and you're outside of Canada. All right, let's go to the telephone. Caller, you are live on the Kevin Smith Show. Your first name and where are you calling from?
Kevin, this is Steve.
Hi, Steve.
I can't tell you where I'm from because I forgot.
Oh, well, you're going to have to give me some location.
Steve from Georgia.
Yeah. All right, man. What's on your mind?
All right. You know, I have long suspected that a lot of the UFO phenomenon that's going on around the Earth right now is indeed our stuff from a previous iteration of civilization that got way more advanced than we can even imagine right now. You know, and they may have been the Atlanteans, they may have been the Lemurians, they may have been all of them. And I think they've arrived at a juncture in their civilization where they knew an extinction level event was about to occur. And they probably sent out scouts using their own technology, and they were probably interstellar, even intergalactic travelers by then. And they probably had spacecraft that could bend not only space but time, and could phase in and out of different dimensions. And I just have a feeling that a lot of what we're seeing up there, to include the Black Knight and its polar companion, are craft from that civilization that phased out to establish a remnant of their civilization elsewhere, where everyone wouldn't have to die out. And then now they're kind of phasing back in toward us. You know,
Okay. So let me ask you why. Why would they phase back in toward us? Why are they coming back?
There may have been, that might have been part of the program when they left. You know, they may have programmed themselves to be gone for a certain period of time and then to come back. It may be, you know, a unilateral decision on their part. Or on the other hand, it could be that we're nearing something like that ourselves, and they're going to try to get us ready or subtly drop the information. You know, that's a possibility as well. Well,
you know, I'll tell you what, I don't have any problem with the idea that this could be something from a previous civilization. Earth civilization, you know. I really am not so sure that they would be all that interested in trying to help us.
Well, maybe not so much help, but observe, and I don't know, maybe judge as to whether or not they can interface with us at all. You know, and if they find that we're so closed, you know, that there's no ground for communication, then this may strictly be an observation thing, and they can phase right back out, you know, into whatever dimension they currently reside. You know.
You know what, if I was, I was just thinking about if I were one of those people from this super advanced civilization of the past who got wiped out by natural disasters here on this planet. The civilization did, but not all the people did, and some of them possibly escaped the planet. That's a possibility. Now, let's say that I was one of them and I was somehow coming back here and taking a look at all of this, and I'm looking down and observing all these things that are going on the planet. My response would be, holy hell, let's get out of here.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree, Kevin.
But, see, my problem with thinking that anybody out there, no matter where they originally came from or when, my problem with thinking that they would want to help us is I know us real well. I've been all over this planet, and I guess part of it is the business I was in, which was police work. And in police work, you generally are dealing with the worst situations that humanity faces. In international police work, you're also dealing with that magnified by war. And I look at us and I think, man, we really are not worth anybody helping us. As a rule, on the whole, we're not worth it.
Well, imagine this, Kevin. Imagine this. Now, and I, working in an emergency room the way I do, I see the underbelly myself. And 20 years in the Army, I agree with you on that count, Kevin. I totally agree. But the same way that we in our National Security Agency and some of their technology, they're able to home in on certain brainwave frequencies and control those brainwaves pretty easily. The people that have that level of thought. Imagine that they have technology aboard these craft that they can pick up on people who can think outside that box and whose brain waves operate at a different frequency. They might be able to enhance the brain waves, enhance the ability to think, see, perceive, and react to things for people who have a certain brainwave frequency, who think way outside the box. That they might be able to communicate and help certain individuals, not so much with, I'm going to give you a message now and you're going to transmit this message, nothing like that. It would be a brainwave enhancement. And they might be able to help certain people.
That's a possibility. It's a possibility. These pictures from the STS-88. Now, I don't know that that's the Black Knight. Nobody, NASA and the military, they may know, but we don't know. But what do you think of this craft? What's your impression of it?
Well, I look at it, and the same way we look at insects that have an exoskeleton, I see that, I agree that would be an organic entity out there, and who knows, it might be constructed by the consciousness of the people who inhabit it. But I look at it, I see an exoskeleton, the same way you would see an exoskeleton on an ant, or another creature like that, and its its energy sources, we can't even begin to guess what its energy source might be. It might be pure consciousness, driving the thing.
Steve, hang on, man. We got a break. All right, folks, we're going to step away, and we will return.
Telling lies, you hide the truth in your eyes. You never fooled me at all, you only fooled yourself. You spend my money like you got it made. You never had one bit of faith. treat me wrong. So I pick up my guitar and I sing this song. What you wanted, you got it. Everything you needed, take it. What I had, leaving me with nothing. You got me running around in circles, taking the best of me. You drove to Vegas to play some cards. You lost my money, you lost my car. Had to foot your way back to LA. You only made it half of the way. I should feel sorry, but I really don't. You think I'll come get you, but this time I won't. I still love you, but you treat me wrong. So I pick up my guitar and I sing this song. What you wanted, you got it. Everything you needed, take it. What I had, leaving me with nothing. You got me running around in circles, taking the best of me. Taking the best of me. What you wanted, you got it. Everything you don't know
All right, welcome back to the Kevin Smith Show, and on the telephone with us, Steve from Georgia. Steve, you had another comment you wanted to make, I think?
Well, I was just saying that it's important to bring a mental exercise. Just to turn this into a thought exercise. And Blue Sky, a lot of this connected to the Black Knight and so many of the other subjects that you bring to us, Kevin, because that helps open up the mind. If you exercise the mind gets strong, and you're able to lift it away from the narrow range of brain waves that the powers that are out there like to control. They only control a certain frequency, and it's important to get outside of that frequency. And that's where creativity and new ideas come from the other frequencies that are higher and outside that range. Anyway, I just have a feeling that the whole UFO phenomenon, all that, is part of that brainwave range that's outside the closed range that they try to keep us programmed into. And as you expand your mind and raise the vibrational level of your thought activity, your thought life, and so on, that you become more in sync with what's happening at the level of the UFOs themselves, not merely being an observer the way a mouse would gauge the moon against its paw, but to step into the same brainwave level as the UFOs themselves. I think the more you do that, the more you open yourself up to the reality of it, and I think that's important. That's a huge step that mankind has to take. And if they're going to take it, I think they're going to take it right here on this show, Kevin.
I certainly hope so. All right, Steve, man, thanks for the call. As always, very, very interesting. Always interesting to hear from Steve, but it's interesting to hear from everybody. All right. 623-444-5889, 623-444-5889. Now, I want to share with you what Gordon Cooper had to say. This was in an interview. I think, in Australia. But he says, well, I'll tell you this. This is Gordon Cooper speaking, the astronaut. Well, I'll tell you this. I think that by 2016 that something better have happened, because at 2016 I think we're going to have to announce to the world that there's a probe that comes very close to the Earth every 15 or 20 years. And we've been calling it an asteroid. It is not an asteroid. But it actually, in reality, is an artificial probe. In other words, somebody else put it here. They have found us a long time ago. The technology will probably be pretty much on par to, say, Voyager. It'll be old, antiquated technology by all their standards. And so the interviewer says, so what are you saying? Do you know what race put it there? And so here's what Gordon Cooper said. I'm saying we have already found it. Our paradigm says that it can't be an artificial craft of any sort. Therefore, we refuse to accept that, and we call it an asteroid. And I told you it had another name earlier, remember? Here it is. This is what he says. I am talking about BG 1991, roughly 30 meters in diameter, highly polished surface. Asteroids don't have a highly polished surface. It took corrective course changes to avoid collision with another asteroid. That don't happen. This one did it. So that's from Gordon Cooper. The interviewer asked him again, well, what race is this from what planet? And Gordon Cooper said, I don't know. Ooh. All right. Caller, you're live on the Kevin Smith Show. Your first name and from where are you calling?
Kevin, this is Jerome from Pennsylvania.
Hello, Jerome.
Hi. I think it's a misnomer to call the Black Knight a satellite.
Well, anything that is in orbit is a satellite.
I understand what you on the technical aspect of it, but at the same time, that would be like calling our space shuttle a satellite.
But it is while it's in space.
I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying that to me, this is more of a functional. It looks more like a functional aircraft.
Well, spacecraft for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And can you imagine if you were Captain Smith of this aircraft, and you got an order that your mission is going to be to follow the Sputnik?
I'd be like, all right.
Exactly. But the fact that it did do it, I think it's under intelligent control. But I don't think there's actual beings like a Captain Smith on that.
Well, but see, the thing is, we really don't know, and we don't know that craft that we're looking at in these pictures is the Black Knight.
Mm-hmm.
We do know that the Black Knight exists. We do not know that this craft is it. But I think, of course, that there's a possibility that that's it.
I wonder why, we're getting much more clearer pictures of the moon from amateur astronomers and stuff. I wonder why we couldn't get something of this Black Knight satellite from not from independent sources other than NASA.
Well, I don't know. It may be classified stuff where if you shoot pictures of it and you put it on YouTube or something, bam, it goes down and they come confiscate your computer. It could be something like that. I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. It has been observed by astronomers all over the world, but that was years ago. So I don't know.
And you said that it supposedly sent communication describing another star system.
Sent a picture a map,
picture,
star map.
a star map. And what? And could you spell that? Could you spell that out?
Yeah, Epsilon, Epsilon, Epsilon Boötis, Bostes.
Bostes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you very much. And to the first caller who didn't want to disclose his location, I was really interested in hearing what he had to say. I wish.
Me too.
I wish he could just come back and I think anybody who wants to know where I'm calling from already knows where I'm calling from.
Well, all you got to do is say, what state you're in. You don't have to say what city. You don't have
sure.
to.
I mean,
Not asking for the address.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully he'll get some courage and come forth.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm happy you handled it the way you did, Kevin.
Well, thanks much.
Okay.
Appreciate
bye-bye.
the call. All right. 623-444-5889. Wherever you are on this planet, that will get you here. 623-444-5889. And if you're not in the USA and you're not in Canada, you can participate in this show and state your comments, your questions, your opinions, either by calling us or, because it's so expensive to make international calls from some countries, we have a flash message option for you. Go to my website and scroll down till you see the picture about tonight's show. And when you see the picture about tonight's show, right above that picture, just above it, it says flash message. If you're in the USA, if you're in Canada, you can do the flash message. However, I won't get it. All right? It's programmed that way. So if you're in the USA or Canada, you got to call me. All right? 623-444-5889. Caller, you are live on the Kevin Smith Show. Your first name and from where are you calling?
This is Tony from Alberta.
Hello, Tony.
How are you?
Outstanding, sir.
It's been a long time since I called you.
Yeah,
I'm the one that called you a long time ago. I've been listening to your show probably for the last 10 years.
Outstanding.
So, I'm looking at those pictures. That's fantastic. And I was just thinking, a while back they talked about ships that were like 5 miles long.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just thinking, there possibly could be a mothership out there that's controlling this ship.
There could be. Are you familiar with John Leonard Walson?
No, I'm not.
Well, you ought to go to YouTube. And at YouTube, just put in John Leonard, Leonard, Walson, Walson. With his telescope and his camera, he has been getting video of some amazing, gigantic motherships out there.
Wow.
And they don't look hard-bodied like this. I mean,
So they're kind of biological or?
No, well, I don't know, but they appear to be a combination of some hard body and just energy. You'll see these filaments and strings of energy between the parts of the ships, and it's just amazing stuff. And the reason that I have not featured any of that on the show is because, number one, I've tried many times to get in touch with John Leonard Walson, never got any response back. Number two, I have not shown any of his video on my show because I know of people who have used his video, given him credit for it, and he just, according to them, raised hell with them because they didn't have permission. Well, you can't get permission. He doesn't enter his email.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, but his work is outstanding.
Yeah, well, that's something, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I kind of agree with was it Steve they called? That I feel that they're here kind of watching us.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel they're waiting for us down here to get our subconscious mind more into our subconscious than what we are now.
Uh-huh.
And when we're ready, they'll contact us. That's my
I hope
feeling.
you and Steve are right. You heard what I said about it. If I was on board that
Yeah, I
ship
heard you,
looking
yeah.
down, my response would be, holy hell, let's leave.
Well, that's true. I can see that too. But I think they look at, it's just that they look at it and they say, well, if there's a few people out here, they can't all be bad, eh? And a lot of times, what is it? You're in a group, and what do you got? You got, any kind of club you're in. Like there's 10% that don't do anything, and all the rest take, care of it. The 10% do all the work.
Yeah.
And so if there's 10% of the people here out of 7 billion, they figure maybe that's okay.
Well, having said what I said, let me say this. I do think that the majority of people on the planet are good people. I really do. I mean,
right.
I'm going to give you a quick example, real quick, because I'm almost out of time here. Look, we got a break coming up. Can you hang on through this break?
Sure, I'll hang on.
All right, just hang on, because on the other side of this break, I'm going to give you a real good example. All right, folks, we're going to step away for a break. We will be back right after this. Welcome back to the Kevin Smith Show. We're on final approach. That means we only have a few minutes left in tonight's show. And let me check, Tony, are you still with us from Alberta?
Yes, still here.
All right, I was going to give you a real good example of why I say most people on the planet really are good people. You know that I used to be international police, and I was stationed at one time in Serbia. And I was stationed in Serbia both before and after we bombed them.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Now, you would think, and in fact the conventional wisdom, especially among the military, was be real careful, man, because, you know, the Serbs don't like Americans. I can tell you there's nothing further from the truth. They did not like, they knew we were going to bomb them, and certainly they knew after we did, you know, but they knew we were going to, and right up till the day we evacuated so that the bombing could start, I was still being treated wonderfully. They did not dislike Americans, and they didn't hate America. They hated Bill Clinton and Madeleine Albright and their policies. But they did not. They did not hold that against American citizens. All right. Now, when we evacuated, because Bill Clinton was over here and Madeleine telling everybody that the Serb police and military were just doing all these horrific things, which was an absolute, abject, total, unambiguous lie. But
well, where did they get the information from? Were they getting bad information because they said that?
No, they made it up. They manufactured pictures showing mass graves. I stood in the field of that. He held up a picture.
You mean the president and the defense minister made it up?
Yes. Well, or somebody under
terrible.
them. So in the CIA or somebody under them. But they held up a picture of a field and showed these mass graves. I went and stood in that field the next day. And there were no mass graves. There was a farmer working out there.
I know, they said there was genocide there.
But it was absolutely
That's
untrue.
What we heard.
Absolutely not true. And you can verify that by just go to the UN website, click on Security Council, then click on their archives and go back to 1999 and 2000 and read all the reports from Carla Del Ponte, who was the War Crimes Tribunal prosecutor. And read her reports about it. She'll. It's a matter of official record what I'm telling you, but here on this side of the planet, America and Canada, you got told hogwash. So anyway, these terrible Serb police that were just, oh my God, they're killers, right? Do you know who provided us security as we did our evacuation so that we could bomb them?
Right.
The Serb police.
Wow.
Knowing that we were going to bomb them.
Unbelievable.
People on this planet, people are generally good people. Systems, policies, governments are what makes the planet dangerous. It shouldn't.
The leaders.
It shouldn't. Yeah. You know, and my feeling it has been, of course, I'm from that era where everybody was protesting the Vietnam War, right? But let me tell you something. If Obama's got a problem with some other world leader, he needs to get his ass in the ring with some gloves and take care of it man to man.
Yeah, you're right.
If some leader has a problem with Obama, he needs to get his ass in the ring with Obama and take care of it man to man, and quit involving all these millions of other people and killing off all these other people. If they got a problem, let them settle it.
That would be the way to do it, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, look, if I had a problem with you and I sent thugs to take care of it, you'd call me a gangster. If I was president of a country,
gangsters used to do.
Well, that's right. And you know, but a president sends an army, and they're not they're not thugs, but he sends an army. He's doing the same thing. Now,
you're right.
I see an army as totally defensive, personally. Totally defensive. You only need them if you get attacked, And but if world leaders would just get in the ring, take care of it man to man, it'd be a peaceful world. Because most of them do not have the guts God gave an earthworm.
But do the leaders really, are the leaders really running things, or is there somebody else running everything?
There's about 13 families on the planet that run the planet.
So they tell the leaders what to do.
Yeah, but if they get in the ring with them, they can take care of that too. Look, the solution.
That'll never happen.
The solution for world peace is simple. For the people to just say no every time they announce a war, just say no, and then let the leaders go take care of their own problems themselves, and they'll find a way to have peace.
That's the problem, I know.
Do I sound radical?
No, but I can understand. My brother was, on the front lines in the Second World War, and he says, the leaders would just, behind the lines, they just tell you to go, and you just went.
Yeah.
No questions asked. You were disciplined to do that, he said.
That's right.
And it's still the same.
Well,
and he said,
listen,
people just die right in front of you, eh?
Almost all of the places where I lived and worked, not all of them, but almost all of them, were predominantly Muslim areas. And I'm going to tell you something. I am, I guess I'm treading very right out on the edge to say this.
Yes.
But here in the West, people that think that most Muslims are radical absolutely don't have a clue. It's not the truth.
Yeah.
There are radicals. There are radicals among them.
Propaganda machine working, right?
Yeah.
There's been a good propaganda machine working here.
That's right. But look, there are radicals among them, and if I have anything to fault the Muslim community for, it is that they don't take care of that, and they don't clean their own ranks of the radicals.
Right.
But it is absolutely not the case that most of the Muslim populations of the world are radical. It's just not true.
I try to say that to some people because we have discussions with other people, and I always say, they're not all bad. I say, just because they wear a turban on their heads.
Well, and most of them don't do that either. But look, let me tell you something. All of this that I've said is to shore up the point I made. Most people are good people, but here's the problem.
No, that's right.
Most people that are good people are so non-confrontational that they won't stand up against the bad ones, and we don't clean our ranks of the radicals. That's the problem.
Right.
And so the radicals are the ones that get elected. The radicals are the ones that start wars. The radicals are the ones that go kill people and turn this planet into an insane asylum. And it's...
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's because most of us just are non-confrontational, and we just don't want to be bothered, right. and so the radicals just have a waltz in the park.
You got it. Wow, right.
But
it's too bad.
Yeah, well,
but, and there's not much you can do about it. That's the problem.
Well, except I talk about it, and then I will get email because of what I said here about how radical I am. It didn't used to be that when you stood up for what was right, and you stood up for peace, and you stood up for life, that was not radical. That was the norm. Well, the shoe's on the other foot now, and for me to do that makes me radical. Hey, man, I'm out of time. The show is over and the music is playing. Thanks for the call. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it. My friends call me Steel Eye. My enemies do too. You may call me whatever you want to call me. Just keep coming back again and again and again. Until next time, so long, everybody.